Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news. Tonight we're going to be talking about whether Manchester United can actually rescue this transfer window for Ruben Amorim. Some very interesting news just coming out from Fabrizio Romano as well, which directly impacts Manchester United's bid and what will happen next if we do get Mbeumo done. Can we rescue this summer transfer window? We'll get into all that. On this most difficult of days in football, how are you all doing? It's not been an easy day for anybody, and that doesn't in any way take away from the enormity of what has happened to Liverpool Football Club and the family and friends of those who lost their lives today. I hope you're doing well. Life goes on. And I think it's... I saw one thing today from, I think it's... Chris, who does the Red Men TV, and he said forever is so final. And that sort of grabbed me, that sentence, because I thought, you know what, that's the thing that really hurts us. It's gone, it's forever. But look, the show must go on. And I think everybody has, has been obviously impacted by this today, and there's been so many comments. So thank you everybody for that. But I want to start off with some breaking news from Fabrizio Romano, actually, which I think the big question here really is, and what, look, the last few 8 o'clock shows have been fantastic and they've been led by you. So I really want to get your thoughts. I want to sort of recap some of the stuff that Ben Jacobs said with Beth. We were going to do that show at midday, but it just felt so close to, what had happened that we pushed it back till about 3 o'clock. And even then, I think some people probably weren't in the mood. So I want to summarise some of the key bits from that, because there were some big bits in there that probably we just felt like, I don't want to talk about it, which is totally understandable. But life, sadly, in the case of what's happened, will go back to normal. Liverpool will play games this season. We will sign players over the next few days. So, look, in relation to Manchester United, can we rescue this transfer window? It is the 4th of July tomorrow. Where is this influx of players that were coming in and going out because it was the 1st of July that many of you were hanging your hat on? And I respect that, but many of us were like, I think you're being naive. Where's this third bid that was meant to happen yesterday? I will concede that there is never in a million years that Man United were going to do here we go today for Mbeumo, even if it was on the cards. Hypothetically, even if it was on the cards, they would never do it today because of what's happened. They would never have done it today. They're probably never going to do it anyway. You could argue that, but we were never going to do it today anyway. So I'm not going to sit here and go, why haven't we done it today? That would be stupid. But what we have had happen in the last few minutes is Fabrizio Romano has literally just tweeted that there are clubs doing business today, because Liverpool obviously have done a lot of their business in June. Arsenal have done a lot of their business in June. Man City have done a lot of business in June. Chelsea have done a lot of business in June. Newcastle have tried to do a bit of business in June. They tried to get Mbeumo. They tried to get Pedro. Well, tonight, exclusively, Fabrizio Romano has just said that Newcastle have sent £55 million bid to Nottingham Forest for Anthony Elanga. Negotiations underway with Newcastle pushing to get it done. Two things about this. First of all, I don't know whether this is true from Lawrence as well. He's saying Arsenal believed to have made progress on a potential deal for Gyökeres in recent days, from Sami Mokbel in the BBC, and we might need to check that one out. But starting off with this, two significant things about this. One, I think we potentially have a percentage of an Elanga deal. I don't know the facts about that, but potentially we do. But biggest of all, and I did listen to Ben Jacobs today talking about Mbeumo and saying there is no £70 million demand from Brentford at all. They just want they just want the deal that they want, which we all know is about 60 million quid. If Anthony Elanga's going from Forest to Newcastle for £55 million and possibly more than that because the bid's gone in, what the hell are we negotiating for about 60? Like, are we not aware of the market and Pedro going for over £50 million and us buying Cunha for 62, and yet it's 5 weeks now of negotiating a price which everybody knew from day one? So I think with Man United, just pay the bloody money or walk away. And no, I don't want them to walk away, but just pay the price everybody knows is the price. I'm not saying it's a fair price. I'm not saying it's a bargain, but I certainly don't think it's a rip-off. I think £60 million is the price. You've obviously tried to negotiate it down. You couldn't negotiate your way out of a brown paper bag. Just pay the bloody money and get on with it, you know? Josh says, we won't get anything till Monday now. Glazers won't work 4th of July weekend. They don't work any weekend, do they? Paul says, Jim's best in class, my bollocks. Jim Radcliffe should do the right thing and sell his shares and bog on, preferably to Qataris, sick of them. Rest in peace, Jota, says Paul. Year and a half as a member and no regrets. Win in the chat, says Trader NJ. Hope you're doing well. Carrie says, life is so fickle. Condolences to the family of Jota. Love this community. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Carrie. Was gifted a membership yesterday, but didn't realise until today. Whoever it was, thank you. Love the community, says Nick Wood. And will anyone from the United stand be in Stockholm for the Man United Leeds game? Keep up the good work. I don't know our plans at all at the moment, mate, Oscar, so that's an honest answer. Mike JW says, it's the 4th of July tomorrow. We aren't signing anyone in the next 3 days. Was this the plan to not bother? Sad day and another day wasted by these clowns as well. Is this where's the I just want to, I don't want to, I mean, I'm going to be talking about a couple of other bits anyway, but I just want to see if I can find this story from Sami Mokbel, who works for the BBC now. Is it a load of rubbish, or is that actually true about the Gyökeres thing? Because it would be a decent source saying that if it's true, but I can't see any mention of that anywhere. So it could just be a troll in the chat, but I can't see it on I can't see it on any of the aggregators or anyone like that. What is the most realistic striker to buy? Well, I want to go through some of the stuff that Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt have said in the Daily Mail, because I think there's a few holes in this, but it's all new news. So I just wanted to go through this because some of you may not have seen it. So I'm just going to summarise what they put in their article this evening. So basically, what they're saying is, it's on BBC Sport Twitter, Mark. Okay, I will have a look at that. I don't want to miss this one if it's there. It's all about bloody tennis. You know, if someone's going to drop something in, please, please, please give us the link to where it is or where we can find it, because we start the show, we know what we're talking about. When people say Romano, we know where to go. But BBC Twitter, I'm on BBC Sport Twitter, it's not there. So if somebody could be so kind as to tell us where we're meant to be looking, and then we'll talk about it. But until somebody does that, we're not talking about it. We'll have to just move on and talk about other stuff. So this is genuine. So this is coming in from Chris Wheeler, Daily Mail. First of all, Manchester United, Juventus, Sancho. Don't say BBC Football. That doesn't mean anything. What does BBC Football mean? Sancho, Juventus, therefore, is... I'm now being told it's from 9 hours ago. This is getting really, really weird. How have we missed that from 9 hours ago? What, like, how would we even miss that? I need a link. Matt, if you can find me the link, drop it into the group. I'll go and have a look at it. I want to talk about this. So, Chris Wheeler basically saying that, and I will read you this because I've got the link to it. God, I'm not in a great place today already, and this is just not what I need tonight. I do not need this sort of nonsense about this, that, and the other. Right, I found it. Okay, here we go. It's not Gyökeres focused for a start. Okay, so basically it was an article from Sami Mokbel 9 hours ago on the BBC website. This is getting even better. It's not even about Gyökeres bid. It basically says it's all about Arsenal, which forwards Arsenal are looking at. Arsenal came into the summer looking at Sesko. There's been indications in recent days that Arsenal are focused on other targets. The impasse with Sesko could, of course, be a strategic ploy. Either way, Arsenal are understood to have made headway with the potential move for Gyökeres in recent days. Oh, God, we've just lost that 5 minutes. We're never getting that back. Absolute waste of time. Article from 9 hours ago, massive article, one throwaway line that either way, Arsenal are understood to have made headway with a potential move for Gyökeres in recent days. Potential move, headway. Shut up. Waste of time. That is just, we won't get that back. Brilliant. Well done. Brilliant bit of news. Superb. Absolutely brilliant. Love that. Haven't wasted our time at all. We move. Right, okay. Let me go back to what we were going to talk about tonight, because this is genuine stuff that I think is actually credible and relevant and succinct. So, this is coming in from Chris Wheeler. Juventus are... So we're generally talking about, and I suppose, sarcasm apart, we are talking about whether Manchester United can rescue this transfer window for Ruben Amorim. We're back in pre-season on Monday. I'm warning you, on Monday morning, just try and get a good night's sleep on Sunday. Clear head, positivity, wake up, set your alarm to music that you like. Treat yourself to a Monday morning breakfast that you like. Trust me, you're treating yourself. It's not cheating, because at some point mid-morning on Monday, you're going to see Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony walking into Carrington with their boots under their arms, smiling. And trust me, that's going to ruin your Monday. Unless you Player FC for any of those players. Shocking. Even better, you're not going to see any new signings walking in apart from Cunha. He's going to have a busy morning, because it's going to be, can you do this photo? Can you do that photo? Can you do some cartwheels? Can you tickle Harry Maguire? Can you play can you play the piano? We've still got it. He's going to be a really busy lad the first few days, because that's basically our summer transfer window. But Chris Wheeler says Juventus are unlikely to cover even half of Jadon Sancho's £275,000 salary. So I'm confused again, really, because Ben Jacobs was on with Beth earlier, and he said, as that was going on, as they were doing that show, Sancho's representatives were talking to Juventus today. So Sancho clearly is intrigued by a move to Juventus. Juventus wants Sancho, but this was always coming down the road. We pay Jadon Sancho stupid money, and Juventus don't pay stupid money. So I agree with that. Half of 275,000 is effectively about 140, and he ain't in the Italian league. He ain't a 140k player, so that is about half of 275. So I don't know how we work this out. One of you said it last night, and you might be right. There might be a scenario where we get 15 million for Sancho, and then we give him half of that to cover his wages to get him out of the club. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be much of a profit-making machine, really, when all is said and done. Also, this was really interesting. Chris Wheeler again, Daily Mail. After Christian Eriksen left United as a free agent, Amorim is in the market for another central midfielder to play alongside Bruno, Casemiro and Ugarte. Now, Ben Jacobs was on this afternoon, and he said what I was told weeks ago, that Amorim wants a midfielder, but if he wants a midfielder, Casemiro or Mainu or somebody or Ugarte or Bruno would have to go. Bruno's staying, Ugarte is staying, Casemiro is now staying, and Mainu's about to sign a new contract. So I call bullshit on this. I'd love to be wrong on this, but I don't think Eriksen, who wasn't playing, leaving, means that we're going to go and spend money on a midfielder. We've already got 5. And it doesn't even mention Mainu as a midfielder. So, look, unless Mainu's shockingly going to leave, which I don't think he is, somebody would have to leave for us to buy a midfielder. So I would say big warning sign if you've read that and started getting excited. We're not replacing Eriksen. We're not replacing Lindelof. Their contracts have run down. It's goodbye. We won't replace them. We'll pocket the wages as profits to help the club. I mean, that's going to be about £250,000 a week in wages. Probably a little bit more, actually. So it's £1 million a month. We're not replacing those wages. That's going straight into operation dividend or whatever like that. So I don't see that happening at all. They also mentioned about Rasmus. Now, it's looking more and more like Rasmus is heading towards the door. But they say most of the inquiries for Rasmus have been regarding loan moves. There is, however, concrete interest from Milan, which may develop into a permanent transfer or perhaps a loan with an obligation to buy at the end of it. I've got to say, I'd be a little bit disappointed in Amorim if he sent Rasmus out on a loan to buy, because I think that's a failure on him as a coach. Rasmus is still only 22. We do need 2 strikers. Why would you not bring a striker in and use him as the backup striker and coach him? Unless he just thinks he's completely uncoachable. I think it's just... I know a lot of you don't like Rasmus, but I look at this United side and I want as many options as possible. The worst thing we could do is buy a striker and then they're injured for 6 months. And I'm not sure whether Obi's ready yet. So, yeah, that's something that's a little bit of concern. But what is next for Manchester United if and when we get this Mbeumo deal done? Can this transfer window be rescued from this point? I want to get your thoughts in on that, because as we all know, it is the 4th of July tomorrow. Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail does say that after Man United have completed the signing of Mbeumo, then the striker will be the next step for Manchester United. Also mentions a centre-back in there, which I just cannot see. I cannot see that at all. Got a bit on Onana as well. So if the striker is what's coming next, then I think that effectively what we're talking about here is who that striker is going to be. Now, it's been a weird week in relation to Ollie Watkins stories because he'd just be too expensive. Apparently, Calvert-Lewin probably isn't a player we're going to look at, according to Ben Jacobs, because of his big wage demands. I mean, that guy's a piss taker. He never bloody fit, and now he wants big wages. But what Ben Jacobs did say about Gyökeres is that Gyökeres has never rejected Manchester United, and ultimately he wants to play in the Premier League. It's just that Arsenal are more ready to buy him at the moment than anybody else is in the Premier League. So he favours Arsenal. And as we know, Arsenal have basically lined up a couple of deals with Sesko and Gyökeres. Who will they choose? So Gyökeres still remains a player of big interest to Manchester United. And I would say that if Arsenal don't sign him, then there is a real opportunity there for Manchester United to go and do it. That's assuming nobody else comes in and buys him. So look, I wouldn't move away from Gyökeres at the moment until it's off the table. We've been linked to Watkins, but who the next striker is going to be for Manchester United, I don't know. But I think it fundamentally feeds into 2 big areas for me. Can Amorim's transfer plans be saved? Well, I sort of feel like the answer is no. And that's a really sad thing to say, because, God, I could do with something positive around Man United at the moment and football in general, you know. Last season was a horrible season to watch. It was lethargic, it was relentless, it was tiring. It would be nice just to go into the season with a bit of optimism, a little bit of hope. And I think that's where the Glazers and Ineos are failing the biggest at the moment. The only good thing about United is Cunha in the new third kit. When it comes out, it's an absolute beauty. We've not solved any problems. Factually, we've solved no problems from the most embarrassing cup final loss I've ever seen. That performance against Spurs was absolutely disgusting. And we've done nothing with that team at all. They're all still here. Every single one of them's still here. And we've got some shit coming back. So that's the disappointing thing to me. Pre-season starts on Monday and it's the same old shit. So I don't see how this transfer window can be rescued. I don't see how Amorim's transfer plans can be saved. I think we will get some players in. But let's talk about the striker and the goalkeeper. The striker is an absolute essential. It might be plan D in August. Because there's 2 factors here. There's the quality of the player you bring in, and there's when they come in. Absolutely, exactly. This is what people don't realise about a transfer window. It's the quality of the player that you bring in, and it's also when you bring them in. So if you look at somebody like Zubimendi for Arsenal, quality player, right at the start of July for pre-season. Tick, tick. You look at Man United, essential player, striker, fourth choice, sometime in August. That's a terrible recipe. That doesn't set us up for a good season at all. That's a terrible recipe. The priority players should be here in the next week or so. Never going to happen. Never. And Burmo might not even be here in the next week or so. So I think when we talk about can this transfer window be rescued? Absolutely not. It's going to be depressing next week seeing the pictures of them in training. And basically, it's going to be last season's squad with Cunha in a different training kit. I don't feel anybody with any positivity. And then secondly, look, some of you think a goalkeeper is more important than a striker. The reality is they're both. I prefer a striker to a goalkeeper, but you need both. One stops goals, one scores goals. Very important. You could bring a striker in who scores a hat-trick every game, but at the other end, the keeper's so shit, he's letting 4 in. So they go hand in hand. There is no priority here. I don't know why some United fans go, I would rather have a striker than a goalkeeper, or I would rather have a goalkeeper than a striker. They're mutually compatible. So absolutely essential that we get a striker and a goalkeeper. What was the update from Ben Jacobs? Onana expects to be the number 1 when he comes back on the 7th of July. And doesn't want to go. So there we go. As we already know, Amorim wants a new goalkeeper. Wilcox wants a new goalkeeper. But Onana makes the decision. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? The manager of Man United and the director of football of Man United have to ask the goalkeeper to go to get a new goalkeeper, and he won't go. Just coming in, 20%. 20%. Newcastle on the verge of agreeing a deal with Forest for Anthony Elanga after £55 million offer. 20% is the Man United sell-on fee. So it's not 20% of 5.5, by the way. I think it's 20% of the difference between what they paid for him. So it'd be about £5 to £8 million for Manchester United in relation to that. So yeah. Let me just make sure that my maths are correct on that one. There we go. Yeah, well, it's helpful, isn't it? It's a little bit more money, I suppose. Not something a little bit more, a little bit of bonus money as well. Yeah. So yeah, with the goalkeeper situation, that's it. But going back to what I was saying about pre-season, about next season, about can we rescue this transfer window, it ain't looking good, is it? Like, I'd say striker and goalkeeper were probably the 2 priorities coming into the season. We've got neither. We're not going to get a goalkeeper, and the striker at the moment could be bloody John Smith, who plays up front for bloody the dog and duck at this point. We don't know who it's going to be, do we? Carlos says this manager will be sacked by Christmas. Yazzo says, I love Amorim and Bruno, but I think he only refused the sale of Bruno because of the sense of camaraderie rather than fitting him into the system. He will be judged on that, Yazzo. I think we're all fully aware of that. Gavin McKeough says, Gavin McKeough is a new member. Welcome, Gavin. I've been having a really hard time lately mentally, and your channel and this community have made it easy to deal with. Thank you, pal, says Garrett. Well, there you go, community. You're fantastic, and it's great to have you part of it, Garrett, and I'm glad we can help. Tusha says, can't we just take Kovar back from Leverkusen as backup, and he might replace Onana? I'm getting desperate now where the signings are going to come in. Let's get the striker, goalkeeper and midfielder in. We'll force the right players out in time. We forget we can... just reminded me of something, Brenners. I need to remember this chat. So he says, let's get the striker, goalkeeper and midfielder in. We'll force the right players out in time. We forget we can sell them in January as well under PSR. Top 4 is worth more than their wages for half a season, says Brenners. Garnacho to leak Rashford's new kit number on Instagram, says Robert. And Sully says, hi, Mark. I just want to say thank you for the words you had earlier in regards to Jota situation. It really means a lot to all of us, says Sully. Look, mate, I did warn people about that. Unfortunately, there are haters out there who just want to see the world burn, and apparently we shouldn't have even done a show this morning. I'm sure everybody, when they heard the Jota news, just went home and sat at home. It'd be great if we could do all that, but it's a tragic accident that has impacted the world of football. And I've actually taken solace listening to people like Jamie Carragher today and all the people that have put, tributes and everything out like that. I really do think that Jonathan David would have been a great free transfer, says Ray. Apparently the training returns will be staggered, so it's likely the potential outgoings will be pushed towards the latter end, says E. Jota, my biggest worry... Sorry. And Bonnie says, rest in peace, Jota. My biggest worry is that teams that are better than us have strengthened their teams, yet we're all stuck with highly paid deadwood. Amorim is being set up for failure. Is Alvaro a good option with buyback? And meant to be going to Real Madrid, James. I don't know whether he already has. Connor says they've just retired the number for Jota. I mean, it's up to Liverpool Football Club what they do, but it would not surprise me if they did it. And it would be a very fitting tribute. Surely if Elanga goes for 55 million, then Garnacho should be going for 60, says Mark. Thoughts? I'm going to talk about this, Mark, funnily enough. What is the most realistic striker to buy, says Alexia? I still think Gyökeres at the moment. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I still think he's the most realistic target. Seth has gifted a membership. We would make about 9 million from Elanga going, says E. Not getting anything till Monday. Glazers won't with the 4th of July. You know what? Few comments in there. Brenner's and the one there about Garnacho being worth 60 million. This took my took the piss, to be honest, today when I read it. I'm not disputing it at all, because it's about the third time I've heard this. Effectively, Stephen Curtis, never come back. Just never come back. Just go. Like, it's 8 o'clock on an evening where you've got Netflix, you've got Sky, you've got Disney Channel, you've got all those channels. You sat on here saying stuff like that. Just go. Just go away. Who is responsible, people of the transfers, says Stig. What do you think? CEO, Jason Wilcox, the Glazers, Sir Jim Radcliffe, the board? Zlazy says, when they hired Amorim, they must have discussed that he would need at least 6 to 7 new players in the next couple of windows. 6 to 7, not 67. They must have known they were going to need to do that. Well, you would have thought so, Zlazy. The fact these arses in charge are not just failing Amorim, they are failing us. We need an Mbumo, a striker and a goalkeeper in now. They need pre-season, says Mike JW. Manager will be sacked by Christmas, says Carlos. And Ruben will be sacked by Christmas, says Ash as well. A few people starting to say that. Set up to fail. What I was going to say is that listening to that Ben Jacobs thing this afternoon, he said 2 things that really took the piss. Not from him. He will be getting this from United, and it's not the first time we've heard it. I can't remember who said it, but it was a few days ago the same thing was said. So basically, United are saying about Garnacho that they want £60 million, and they're sticking to the £60 million. And Chelsea, Villa and Napoli aren't interested at that price. So it begs the question, what do we think we're doing again? And again, with Rashford, Ben Jacobs also said United want 40 for Rashford and they're not willing to negotiate at this stage of the transfer window. This is exactly the time of the transfer window to negotiate, you absolute cretins. Like, what is it that how bad are... You know what? I'll put my hands up here. When I talk about Man United's transfer negotiations being incompetent, there's a large part of me is just frustrated, impatient, and wants them to get on with it. I don't actually think they are a bunch of clowns walking around with big shoes on and wigs and stupid makeup. I actually think they are competent. They're just slow. But now, more and more, I actually think they are a bunch of clowns. I actually do think they are rubbish at negotiating. And I actually think they've got no idea about football at all. Like, football is something that the more you watch it And the more time you invest in it, the better you get. It's like playing chess. It's like playing a computer game. It's like playing Grand Theft Auto 5. The more you play it, the more you find the shops that you can rob, the more where you find where the good cars are. You know, you get used to the map, you know. And it's the same with football. The more you consume it, the more you understand it. And the people who come in and act like they know what they're doing because, you know, they've got a degree and they used to work for Goldman Sachs, whatever. Absolutely what, yeah, you get to know where the shoe shops are as well. Can you remember when I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5 and somebody said, if you press the triangle when you're driving, you get a nitro boost? You don't get a nitro boost. I was going very fast already. And basically, it opens the door and you jump out. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about. On what planet can United have interest from Chelsea, Napoli and Villa and be going, we want 60 million? Like, I understand, the scary thing is, I understand the incompetence. They will literally be going, we bought Cunha for 62, Brentford want Mbeumo for 60 million, Newcastle are now bidding 55 for Elanga, so we want 60 for Garnacho. But if you're Villa, Chelsea or Napoli, you go, hello, is there a brain in there? Cunha was Wolves' best player last year. And Mbeumo was Brentford's best player last year. Elanga was one of Forest's best players last year. Garnacho was shit last year. He's walking around in a Villa shirt and you've told the world he's up for sale and he'll be lucky to find a club. Have you figured out why he's not worth 60 million and all those players are? You cannot compare his talent when everybody knows there's a massive falling out and you're desperate to sell. And this is clearly what Manchester United have not figured out in relation to Garnacho and Rashford. We want 40 for Rashford. He wants Barcelona and nobody else. So what are you going to do? Where's your 40 million coming from? He only wants Barcelona and nobody else. And you've got him on a massive contract with massive wages. You're not in control. So stop asking for 40 million pounds because he's not going to do the deal. And you're not going to get 60 million pounds for Garnacho in the situation that you've got. But we think we are. We think we're going to get 60 million. We think if we wait this out, we'll get 60 million. We're not going to get 60 million. It's just an absolute waste of time. Waste of time. We might get 60 million with add-ons, but we're not going to get 60 million. And that's why nothing's happening with these players. We're trying to get ridiculous prices for players in, and we're trying to get for ridiculous players for players out. And it's a mess. And the scary thing is, we were talking about this a month ago. And a month goes like that. And in a month, we'll be coming back from the US tour. And then we'll be going into a new season. And how much are we going to get done in the next 4 weeks? Considering we took from the end of April to the start of June to get Cunha done, 6-7 weeks. And we've taken from the start of June to now, and we still haven't got Mbeumo done. So of the 2 deals we've worked on so far, we're averaging about 5 to 6 weeks. And the first game's in 6 weeks. And pre-season starts on Monday. Ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. Emily Derry says, I've said it before, our negotiators don't know when to negotiate and when not to negotiate. The worst part is Matt Hargreaves is regarded very highly for his negotiating skills, speaks multiple languages and gets on well with agents, says E. Well, I couldn't give a toss. I absolutely couldn't give a toss. He's crap at his job because your reputation precedes you. If he's not crap at his job, then maybe he should do something about his reputation. You can't, you know what? A boxer can't walk around telling everybody, I'm actually better than Tyson Fury and everybody else. I'm a brilliant, brilliant boxer. You know, I've been trained by Mike Tyson. You know, I've got an absolute knockout punch. I'm quick and agile around the ring. I'm the best boxer in the world. And then you look at their record and it's no wins and 20 KOs of them. But you're the best boxer in the world. Sadly, you're not. New board, but same crap. How is that possible? It's not a new board, Stig, is it? I think that's the naivety kicking in there. It's not a new board. We're still owned by the Glazers. United depress me more than my cheating mother, says Dan the Real. Sorry. Would you take 5 million for Garnacho from Newcastle? Surely Garnacho is better than Elanga, mate. Rory C. Who would you go for if you're Newcastle? You want a right winger? Would you go for Elanga, who will work his arse off every week as a right winger and probably get better? Or would you go for Garnacho, who's not even a right winger? I'd go for Elanga in them circumstances, Rory. Jerry, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what I did see yesterday. I forgot to mention this yesterday. I don't know whether I wrote it down. Did I write it down? Oh, God. I was meant to bring it into the show yesterday. Oh, yeah, found it. Here it is. Oh, God. You know it's bad. You know it's bad in United's transfer window. When the Manchester Evening News yesterday, one of their big stories of the day was Manchester United shirt numbers at risk. It did make me click it. I knew it was going to be a load of shit, but it did make me click it. And the actual article was going through numbers of shirts that are at risk at Man United. So the number 2 shirt worn by Gary Neville is now vacant. The number 9 and 10 shirts could be at risk because Rasmus and Rashford could be leaving this summer. I thought, oh my God. It is the 2nd of July, because it was yesterday. It is the 2nd of July. We're doing next to nothing in the transfer window. And Manchester's biggest Man United outlet in Manchester is writing articles about shirt numbers at risk. Shirt numbers at risk. I mean, that is what we've become. Discussing shirt numbers at risk. What about the bloody striker and the goalkeeper we need to buy? What about the pile of shit we need to sell? I mean, but in fairness to them, that shows you everything, doesn't it? They've got to write shit like that because United aren't doing what they should be doing. This should be the biggest 2 weeks of the summer transfer window for Man United. Between Tuesday the 1st and Tuesday the 14th of July, it should be popping like a freshly opened bottle of pop. Everything should be going on. And 25% of it's already gone with nothing. You know? The incompetence of the people in charge of the transfers at this club is incredible, says Fowler. Do they not understand the jeopardy and what is at stake next season? I think they totally understand the jeopardy. And as many of you have said before, and I completely agree, I subscribe to this view completely. I don't think Sir Jim Radcliffe gives a rat's arse about Man United's success on the pitch in the next 3 years. And I certainly don't think the Glazers do. I think all they're focused on is making the club survive financially, making it a going concern for the next 3 to 5 years until they've got this government buy-in to build this new stadium, and then they'll think we can turn things around. They're running this football club on the bare minimum and, you know, just making it an ongoing concern for the next few years so they can build a stadium. And it's a crying shame that that's what's happened to Manchester United. But this summer transfer window reflects that theory perfectly. We've got a goalkeeper that we won't get rid of. We've got a striker that's not even here yet. We can't buy a midfielder because people don't want to leave. Nothing is changing. Next season is going to be very similar to last season, the way things are at the moment. Our only hope is that Bournemouth are decimated by people leaving. Brighton are decimated by people leaving. Brentford are decimated by people leaving. And that we actually move up the table because everybody gets worse than last year because their players have left. Because we're not doing anything about it. But no, I don't think there is any ambition from Man United to be better on the pitch. I think everybody's focused on off the pitch because that is an absolute cash cow. We've got so much land in the area where the government regeneration project's going to be, and that's going to make us rich. And that's going to make the club more valuable. And that's going to make the Glazers and Sir Jim Radcliffe rich. And until they prove otherwise, very easy for them to come out and prove otherwise. I and many other people just think that they're not interested about what's happening on the pitch because they just want to get sign off on this knocking down Old Trafford and rebuilding this super project so they can get Beyonce here every year. Mike JW says, on this difficult day, let's just appreciate each other and spread the love that much more because of the whole we are all feeling. Lovely message, Mike. Patrick Lynch, I'll read yours. Just want a drink. John says, is he ever positive? Boring, get. John, you don't have to be here. It's free content. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, we've got 15,000 people watching. We've been doing it for 10 years. We always get loads of people watching. We've got very passionate opinions, very different opinions. And you're either new or, well, I don't know where you've been for the last 10 years. If you don't like it, just leave. The great thing about YouTube is it's free and you can leave and go and watch something else. Like, maybe you could go and watch something positive, like lambs running round a garden on a nice sunny day, because or you could watch people who shove their heads up camels' arses, you know, because basically that's where your head is, John. If you think where Man United at the moment is, I mean, I'll tell you what, if I could do a show for an hour being positive, I think my doctor would ring up and say, are you ill? And also, I think I'd be nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. Because what is there to be positive about, John, in relation to Manchester United and where we are as a football club? What is there to be positive about? We're not talking about what's there to be positive about in general. We should all be positive and happy and grateful today that we're here, living life, the gift that is given. But in relation to the football club and the United stand and what we're talking about, what is there actually to be positive about, John? I would love to know. I would love to know. On this difficult, I fear that they hope that Amorim will fix the issues with Garnacho, Rashford and Sancho, use them for next season. No, it's lazy. I completely disagree. If you know anything about Ruben Amorim, he's going to look an absolute twat if he backs down on Rashford and Garnacho. He's going to look absolutely weak. He'll lose the dressing room. If you're a player in that United dressing room and you see Garnacho and Rashford back playing for Man United, you're basically going to go, this manager ain't it. He ain't it at all. He talks the talk and then he backs down and they'll lose respect for him. So, and it's not what he does if you look at Amorim. So there's no way back there. Patrick Lynch finally got to your super chat. Thank you very much. He says, whatever about incomings, how we have been so bad at outgoings is incredible, considering Rashford, Anthony and Sancho were all known to be problems coming this summer. How was there no proper planning? I think this is a great point, Patrick. I think when you listen to Omar Barada, and he was on that tour in Asia a month ago and said that we've been planning this summer transfer window for ages. And this is the question that the client journalists never ask. You know, the people who speak to Barada or speak to the club, they just swallow this shit and regurgitate it because they're getting a little bit of an interview or an access or whatever like that. What plan are you talking about, mate? It's all the gravy train, isn't it? It's always, you know, I don't want to ask a real question because I might not get asked to ask one again. That's not what journalism is. Journalism is asking the difficult questions. Everybody loves the journalists that actually ask the questions that people want to be asked. So, to Omar Barada, you said you've been planning this transfer window for ages. Well, as Patrick Lynch says, Rashford was on loan in January. Anthony was on loan in January. Sancho's been on loan all season. Malassia's been on loan since January. Why are they still here? Why are they still here? Have you just basically said to them, go and find your own move? I mean, are we not doing anything on that? What is your plan? Please wish my daughter Avery a happy 16th birthday, says Joshua. Happy birthday. I hope you're having a good day. Appreciate that. The Man United transfer plan is about as good as my plan to marry Sydney Sweeney, says Perk. You never know. You might have more chance. Brian says, to echo a lot of others, you're a lifesaver, MG. Thank you very much, Brian. And I think the community is, to be fair. Rashford back or Calvert-Lewin's is 1 inch wonder. I'm not doing these ridiculous hypotheticals. You know those type of hypotheticals where people say like stuff like that, or striker or a goalkeeper. They should be called Glazer get-outs, because the minute you let them enter your head, they're sat there rubbing their hands, going, "We've already won." If you sit there and go, "I'd rather have a striker than a goalkeeper," they've already won, because we should get both. If you say, "I'd rather have Rashford back than Calvert-Lewin," they've already won, because we shouldn't get either. Like, we've got to stop these low-level, trash hypotheticals and actually start asking for what we definitely need. Fowler says, but they should understand that it would be a domino effect. Bad results on the pitch lead to less tickets, less fans, less sales, more debt. Our end, says Fowler. I don't think it does, mate. I honestly don't think it does. Our shirt sales are very good for the home kit already. The away kit sales will be huge because it's nice. The season ticket sales are healthy. And that's after our worst ever Premier League season with no transfers. So all these people who say performing bad on the pitch will hurt them in the pocket, it won't. It won't. Like, the kits are selling very, very well. The season tickets have sold very, very well. And we just had our worst ever Premier League season and we're not in Europe. I think their biggest concern might be sponsors, as Joe says. But there'll always be some... Whilst we turn up, and when I say we turn up, I mean watch the games. Man United were the most watched club in the Premier League last year. If you're a sponsor... The incredible thing is, if you're a sponsor, you'll see that headline and you'll say, I want to sponsor Man United. I don't want to sponsor Chelsea. I want to sponsor Man United. Because they're the most watched team in the Premier League. And I want to hit that audience. So, I mean, look, to be fair, Chelsea are in the Champions League, so you get that as well. But we're still a huge pull. Huge pull to you lot. Huge pull to sponsors. And we're shit. And, that's sometimes where it's beneficial not being one of the biggest clubs in the world. What happens with Gyökeres, a new goalkeeper or a new midfielder? History will show that our greatest miss is Qatar, says Yazzo. Stephen says, Rashford and co need to be given gardening leave. Team don't need them around. Agree about sports day too, says Stephen. Yeah, that was yesterday. Harriet says, I just hope we all don't blame Ruben when the season does not go our way. It's the board. It always will be the most important transfer window. And here we are. Well, look, I asked the question, can Amorim's transfer plans be saved? Can this summer transfer window be turned around? I think you make a great point, Harriet, because it is the most important transfer window and it's already ruined. Can it be turned around? Look, never say never, but it's already ruined. Already ruined, 100%. It's an absolute catastrophe of a transfer window. There are certain important positions we know we're not going to do anything about, goalkeeper and midfield. We don't have the striker. We haven't sold any of the players that we need to sell. So it's already a horrific summer transfer window for Manchester United. So, as for blaming Amorim, mate, I would love it if we could all make a pact as a fan base to never blame Amorim if we had a bad start to the season. But you know as well as I do, I've played the game. You've played the game. When the transfer window shuts and you've just got football to focus on and you're getting beat, frustration builds. And that frustration has never been. When you're having bad results, it's never Glazers out or Sir Jim out. It will be Amorim out. It will be Amorim out, and we won't be able to stop that. And as I said to you the other night, there are people in this fan base who are waiting to go. They've just got the handbrake on. They are already Amorim out from last season. So we aren't going to be able to stop the Amorim out movement. And you've got the media ready to go as well. So he is in trouble. next season if it doesn't go well. And no matter what we want, we won't be able to stop that. Barada is Woodward after plastic surgery, same tactics as Manouche. And if Beyonce comes to New Trafford, will you be there? Says Wolfing, but it's not my type of music. I like that. Oh. I don't really. I just like the dance. Alpha says, I'm dreading those winning team photos next week. You know what? You make a great point, right? It's amazing what pre-season does, isn't it? So we have our worst ever Premier League season, and the last memory of this team in a competitive game was having its arse handed on a plate to Spurs. An absolutely vile season. Disgusting. They deserve booing. It was ridiculously bad. You go away for a month, you come back for pre-season, you're all smiles doing winning team photos, and everybody forgets. It's the same bunch of players. You know, I saw pictures of Luke Shaw in Ibiza a couple of days ago, smiling away. Of course he will do. He's got every right to do that. But they're all coming back, smiling. The bags of shit that cost us last season. Because it's the cycle of spin, isn't it? Like, oh, we go again. We go again. Sorry, someone just said something there and I missed it. Ricardo it was. He says, what's the highest rating this window can get? I mean, I like this question because we always rate the transfer window at the end of it. I think I gave it a 6 last year. We spoke about this before. I think I gave it a 6 based on I liked the signings, but I thought some of them were late and the sales, although were quite good, were late as well. We missed pre-season, I might give it 5, but I think I'll give it 6. Where we are at the moment, it's a bit unfair because you can't judge it until the end of the season, but where this transfer window is at the moment, as much as I like Cunha, I'd give it a 1. And it's not reflective on Cunha. We've bought 1 player, we've sold nobody, and pre-season starts on Monday. And it's not just a normal pre-season. It's not season 2 of Ten Hag. It's Amorim's first season. Sorry, it's Amorim's first transfer window. And it's also a manager's first pre-season where we're basically flipping the house upside down. Like, we're moving the living room and the kitchen upstairs and we're moving the bedrooms downstairs. This is completely different. So this is not I think this is really important. 2 things really important that people aren't forgetting. And even I've done it. We are allowing ourselves to get frustrated because we've had loads of transfer windows like this where we negotiate badly, we don't sell, we don't have players in for the pre-season and we're not prepared. That's bad enough. And that is a reason to moan. But remember, it's worse than that. It's not just another summer transfer window where we're slow, we're messing up pre-season, we're not getting players in and we're not selling. That is bad enough. But it's worse because it's also the biggest pre-season we've had in probably 30 years. Probably the biggest pre-season we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson started in the 80s. Because it's a complete and utter change of identity. This pre-season is massive. It's not a normal pre-season. And also, the second thing, it's Ruben Amorim's first transfer window. You look at Mourinho's first transfer window, or Ten Hag's first transfer window, or Van Gaal's first transfer window. It was a lot better than this. And it wasn't great, but it was a lot better than this. So we're failing on the biggest pre-season we've had in years. And we're failing on a manager's first summer transfer window as well. So it's not all the moaning about, oh, again. It's not again. This is on a different level because of those 2 factors. It's piss poor planning to basically say to Amorim, yeah, start pre-season with Cunha and the shit players that you want to get rid of. Winning team pick, Anana, Malacia, Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho. Says Robert, you'll love that. You'll be knocking one out to that, Robert. You know you will. Last season's result means that Amorim out will be turbocharged if we start badly. Unfortunately, he didn't buy himself much credit. Spot on. Spot on, Patrick. I don't like that. I don't think you like that. But he's got no money in the bank. at all. The summer rescued him in a way because he has got no money in the bank at all. They absolutely hung him out like a lamb to slaughter. He came in with a great reputation and a brilliant winning record, and he ended the season a joke. And that's on the club. And even I, as a big Amorim fan, and I think a lot of people are like this, I was disgusted with what he did in the final. I thought that was the only game where I actually went, what the fuck is he doing? His subs were late. He had no answer to fucking Ange parking the bus, and Ange doesn't park the bus. It was lucky that was the last game of the season because I like Amorim. I want him to do well, but I thought that final coaching display was shit. So he hasn't got a lot of love. He's got not got a lot of money in the bank. I'm going to back him. I'm not going to say Amorim out. I'm fed up of sacking managers, but I'm just living in a real world that we have to start. And can I just remind you? I have to remind myself, actually. I'll remind myself of this. Can I just remind you, he's got to have a good start to the season, hasn't he? Has to have a good start to the season. Can I just remind you of our start to the season? Arsenal, Fulham away, Burnley at home, City away, Chelsea at home. So Chelsea, City and Arsenal in the first 5 games of the season. Chelsea have had a very good start to the transfer window. Man City have had a very good start to the transfer window. And Arsenal are having a very good transfer window. And they all finished in the top 4 last year. We could lose 3 of our first 5 games. What happens then? I don't understand why they've not figured this out. I don't understand why they're not sat there doing the same thing. This pre-season's bigger than any pre-season because we're trying to change a system. This is Amorim's first transfer window. We need players in now and we need them in volume. Our first 5 games of the season are ridiculously hard. If he loses some of them, everyone will go Amorim out. It's like they've buried their head in the sands and gone la 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 la. Everything will be fine. La 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 la. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. And you got people like John saying be positive. We want to be positive, John. We really, really do. MVP says we have a smaller squad than last season. Yeah, that's fine. We've not got European football. I don't mind having a smaller squad because we've not got European football. What I want is a new goalkeeper, 2 strikers, a new midfielder, and I'd be pretty happy with that and get rid of the shit. I'm not asking for a lot. Actually, you know what? I think we need a goalkeeper, a centre-back, a wing-back, a midfielder, 2 number 10s and a striker. I think we need 7 players. I will happily take goalkeeper, midfielder, 2 number 10s and striker. I'll take those 5. At a push, take the midfielder out. I'll take those 4. So we're all, you know, the standard I want, I'm already taking. I'm already making concessions. They can't even hit that. They can't even hit that. Keeping Rashford or signing Calvert-Lewin as a dilemma is essentially as bad as would you rather pee out of a grape or shit out a pineapple? Both dire situations, says E. Thank you very much for that. Okay, on a positive note, are there any youth talents you tip to break through next season, says Smoggy? I don't think that's a positive, though, Smoggy. I don't think it's a positive because a learner driver is not going to help us. And I would hope that it's Obi who breaks through because I think Kone is going on loan, isn't he? But I would hope Obi can go to the next level because I've seen 17-year-old strikers do well before. But, yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you take care. Stay safe, and I will speak to you on the next one. And of course, I always stay live a little bit at the end. And normally, there's a bit of a joke or a bit of banter or a bit of a moan. And last night, what we were talking about, people fireworks on their phone. But tonight, I don't really feel in a jokey mood. You know, even Seb's been talking about it. My daughter who plays football, she's been talking about it. So I quickly went down the pub earlier, and everybody in the pub was talking about it. And of course, that is the sad loss of Jota today. So I think that what I would say is that, look, we live in a world where people tell you how to think. Oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want to live in a world where, you know, people tell you shouldn't have done that video, you shouldn't have done this video, whatever. We're all grown-ups and we can all, you know, grieve in the way that we want to grieve. I run 2 big football communities, and my decision was that I think some people just don't want to do anything, but we're a community in difficult times, and we're a community in happy times. And the amount of people who've messaged me today, especially about the That's Football video about Jota, have said, you know, it really helped being able to go and watch that and put a comment in. So I think everybody's grieving in their own way. You're going to get some idiots out there, of course, aren't you? But I think that there are no words, really. Everybody has their own interpretation of it. What I would say is, though, and I said this to my daughter because she was quite upset about it, and I said, look, it's really, really horrible. It's really, really sad. And it's really, really tragic. But it is life. And life's not fair. And you know what? Somewhere in the world, somebody will be dying and it won't be fair. And somewhere in the world, families will be grieving and it won't be fair. And that is why you grieve things that you care about, and you've got to enjoy life for the time that you're given, because when you're not here, it's over, isn't it? And I think that I've spoken to a lot of people today who've said, it's really shocked me. I need to make that phone call. I need to go on that holiday. I need to do that thing that I keep putting off, because you just don't know how long you've got. And you also don't know how long you've got. It's not just about, I mean, in fact, let's not make it selfish. It's not about how long you've got. You don't know how long the people you care about have got either. You just don't know. And I see that as a positive in a horrible situation, because we will move on. The amazing thing about humans is we have this amazing ability to move on. And I've lost people really close to me, and I've thought, life's never going to be the same again. I don't know how this happens. But we have this amazing resilience as a human race. And we will move on. And we won't forget, but we will move on. And the way we move on is through good and through love. And I think that those are the two things. That's why when I see people quote tweeting these vile people on Twitter, I think, why? You're giving them, if they've took the time to tweet something vile, they've done it consciously, and they've done it because they want to cause the outrage. So when you quote tweet it going, look at these vile people, you're giving them exactly what they want. You're giving them air. You're giving them oxygen. Far better to retweet what Liverpool Football Club say about Jota, or what a certain fan says about Jota. Spread the love and the positivity. Don't spread the hate. They're irrelevant. Because it's what you do with the time that you've got. And you know, the amazing thing is, nobody knows how long they've got, do they? They don't. I mean, obviously, if you're on death row and you're going to get whatever, but I mean, 99% of us, 99.9% of us, got no idea. So, life's a gift. See it as a gift. I always think, like, people. Some people are like scared of death, and I understand that, because it's the fear of leaving the people that you care about. I understand that, but you think about it. You were dead before you were born. For hundreds of years, people were living on this planet without you on it. You weren't here. And for hundreds of years afterwards, hopefully your future generations will live with you not here either. You're here for this glimpse. And you might get 20 years, you might get 100 years. But some people do what... someone can live 100 years and not do what somebody does in 25 years. And you've just got to grab it, and do good things as well. We're not all perfect. You know, we all go on certain websites. But, I know, is that a bad thing? But the reality is, just try and be good, and try and be kind. Because you just don't know what your last words are going to be. You don't know what your last impression's going to be, do you? You just can't take things for granted. And that's why things like this are so important. And that's why we built this, because it's a place that people can come every day and communicate and feel part of something. And it's been really useful for me today. And I've just shut out all the negative stuff, even the negative stuff this morning from people saying, why are you doing this show? Because I wanted to do it. And a lot of people wanted us to do it. So we did it. And if you don't want to watch it, you don't watch it. It wasn't disrespectful. Nothing we've done today has been disrespectful. We've just acknowledged a horrible situation and carried on. And that's what we do. That's what we do. Thanks everyone for watching. You're absolute legends. Jay says he buried his father on the 1st and it was hard. Look, there are people die. Look, I saw today that the guy I quite like 67, Michael Madsen, died today. Really good actor in films like Reservoir Dogs. Did a few Tarantino films. People are dying all over the world. Now. It's sad. It's horrible. It's sad. We can't stop it. We can't stop it. So get on with living. That's what I say. Get on with loving and get on with living. Because it's all we got for the time that we got. Take care, everyone. Absolute legends. Love you to bits. And we're back tomorrow. Stay safe. Take care.